I just wanted to share an article I wrote that was just published in our local parish magazine, just as an update on life, but also to show how life after Watchtower can take many unexpected turns. So it's called Confessions of Another Chorister. I was a late starter when it comes to music. It wasn't until after high school that I picked up the electric guitar, and the halting but stubborn progress of the self-taught musician began for me. Pouring out the emotions of the teenage years into little compositions on guitar was a big part of my life back then. Joining a band and playing bass provided another rich experience of making music as a group. I was always happy to do anything that didn't involve actually singing in public. Later, classical guitar lessons changed my tone a little more medieval, with Bach and Julian Bream coming onto the scene. My guitar days came to an end due to hand problems, but the music virus would not go away, and for some reason the piano was less problematic, so my new obsession began. Its greater depth of harmony provided me with a fresh incentive to tackle the challenge and gain a sense of the keyboard, allowing an exploration of new musical pastures. Jumping ahead years later, the music at St Mary's made a great impression on me. It was in early April 2022 that I attended St Mary's, my first Anglican church service. So last year I bought the full music version of the hymn book and put the hymns for each week on the piano and picked out the tune. It was all going well until that dreaded question came from one of our choir members: "Can you sing?" "Badly," I replied, "but I do like music." At this point, two other newly joined members chipped in about how much they were enjoying singing with the choir. "The more the merrier. Why don't you turn up Friday at 7 and have a go?" Well, after enjoying soaking up the experience of the first choir practice on the Friday and an uplifting, spirited conversation with a very experienced choir member on the Sunday morning in the choir vestry, the realization suddenly struck me that we would soon be processing down the aisles. I will never forget light-heartedly pursuing comparisons to the suffering servant of Isaiah chapter 53, going out as a lamb to the slaughter, attempting to stay in tune while not stumbling into the pews. I had been fairly used to singing in unison in a congregational setting, but had never been introduced to learning parts and singing in harmony. Fresh concepts inevitably take time to ferment, and I greatly appreciate the patience and friendly advice from the many experienced singers that I've had the privilege to get to know in the last 6 months. This might sound quite controversial, but I must mention the magical moment that the choir master told the sopranos to stop singing. I quickly add, we do love our sopranos, but since the ear naturally gravitates to the highest notes, it can be hard for the untrained ear to hear what is going on below. So this technique opened a whole new world of harmony and was a eureka moment early on as something to aspire to, even if completely out of my depth. I recently enjoyed reading about the history of choral singing, and this particular quote not only made me laugh out loud, but underlined one typical attitude of treating music with a critical ear, which perhaps is a double-edged sword. It drives us to improve, but should not make us give up or follow the counsel to make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all the earth make a loud noise, and rejoice and sing praise. Psalm 98 verse 4. The context was the grim but rather humorous picture of early 18th century choirs in America. The tunes are now miserably tortured and twisted and quavered in our churches into a horrid medley of confused and disorderly voices. Our tunes are left to the mercy of every unskilled throat to chop and alter, to twist and change according to their infinitely diverse and no less odd humours and fancies. I myself have paused twice in one note to take a breath. No two men in the congregation quaver alike or together. Sounds in the ears of a good judge like 500 tunes roared out at the same time, with perpetual interferings with one another. The Reverend Thomas Walter. It's a good reminder that we all have to start somewhere, but also what a tradition has been passed down to us from the time that David told the Levites to appoint singers, lifting up the voice with joy. Even through times of great persecution for the Jews, they threw aside all weeping and wailing and instead sang songs in organised groups as a sign of peaceful joy. 3 Maccabees chapter 6 verse 32. Every time we sing together is unique and communicates a special message that can warm our hearts and help us deal with the challenges that life presents. I was surprised to learn that there are more than 400 references to singing in the Bible and at least 50 direct commands, which means for the Christian we have good reasons to believe that God designed us to sing and gave us everything we need to sing as well as he wants us to. At the end of the day, it's up to you to perfect that gift that you've been given, put your spirit into that song, focus on the words that you're singing, and get into the experience of what you're singing about. And sing your heart out. Those are the words of Stevie Wonder. Currently, we are practicing a special Evensong service which will hopefully bring all the local singers together and be an opportunity to learn new techniques like a psalm set to Anglican chant. Most of all, I just want to echo what those members said to me in saying how much I've enjoyed this experience, and yes, the more the merrier. If anyone is thinking about joining the choir, we look forward to singing with you.
As it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. Thou, God, art praised in Zion, and unto thee shall the vow be performed in Jerusalem. Thou that hearest the prayer, unto thee shall all flesh come. My misdeeds prevail against thee. O be thou merciful unto our sins. Blessed is the man whom thou choosest and receivest unto thee. He shall dwell in thy court, and shall be satisfied with the pleasures of thy house, even all thy holy temple. Thou shalt show us wonderful things in thy righteousness, O God of our salvation. Thou that art the hope of all the ends of the earth, and of them that remain in the broad sea, who in his strength setteth fast the mountains. itself with the drops of rain, and blessest the increase of it. Thou crownest the year with thy